There it is, my first ever INav build, my first ever Matek flight controller build. This is a 765 wing. I'm going to use this half-inch wooden dowel to point out things. This is the 765 wing controller board right here. This is a Crossfire Nano RC receiver. This is the PDOT tube for a digital airspeed sensor. It's connected into the bus on this compass. Compass is GPS compass is connected to the 765 board. The 765 board has a camera switch on it, so you can put two cameras on it rather easily. Here's one, here's two. They're Josh Bardwell Run Cam Phoenix 2s, identical. This is a 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter with a pagoda antenna. This is an LED strip. It's just got 8 LEDs on it. It's meant to go underneath the Caprahina motor and tell people behind you some information. We'll see what I do with it, but I did get it working. And then finally, here is a buzzer for a lost model. Whatever you want to use a buzzer for. It can be useful for many things. And that's it. That's all I'm going to put on this build. This is for one of my airplanes, not sure which yet. I just wanted to build up a INav Autopilot. I never did this before. I've always done ArduPilot. INav was always for the hobby guys, and ArduPilot was more for the professionals. But INav has made some real big headway in the last couple of years while I was on a hiatus. So now that I got back into FPV, airplanes and stuff about a year ago, INav pretty much holds its own right now. That's all I'll say. Oops, I forgot to mention this. This is a 900 megahertz telemetry radio, which is going to be replaced by a 433 megahertz telemetry radio as soon as it arrives. It's on order. This is just here for testing and getting everything working, because this is 915. So is the Crossfire transmitter receiver. So this really won't work well together. It might work after a fashion. It depends on how far away it is, how well it works. It's just not good to have two devices transmitting at 915 on your platform, and it's certainly not good to have a device listening to 915 and have a 1 watt long range 20-30 mile transceiver transmitting on 915. So I did order the 433 megahertz version of this. The one I ordered is 500 milliwatts. This is a watt, so the one that's coming will be 0.5 watt, but it'll be on 433 megahertz, and it won't conflict with the 915 on the Crossfire anymore. Okay, so now that this is all up and working, well, I guess what you'd kind of like to see, I guess, is it turned on and working. Oops, left my lens caps on my cameras. Get the lens caps off of there. I'm just going to run through it again real quick. You can see the airspeed sensor has a red light on it. And if we go to sensors on the INav configurator, we see the airspeed sensor there. It's got a little noise and stuff in it right now. But if I gently blow towards the PDOT tube right now, you can see how with a larger signal the little ripple just becomes a line. That's basically what was going on there. And anytime I blow towards the PDOT tube end right here, I'm not blowing in it, I'm just blowing towards it. You can see the airspeed sensor works fine. So the GPS has a bus manager in it. We'll talk more about that when I go over the installation of the GPS. So the GPS is in. I guess we should look at the screen again, shouldn't we? And what we will see there is that the GPS indeed has a connection, and it's sending back data to the flight controller that I can display in INav configurator. The LEDs, I don't know if I'll go over all these specifically, but I have a switch on the radio that turns off the LEDs. Oops, there we go. They're off. I have a switch on the radio, a momentary switch here, that the buzzer turns on. That's all there is to that. And I've got this switch set up to switch between the two cameras. So as I switch this switch, you'll see there's a camera on the bench that's pointing down the bench. This camera over here is sort of pointing at my monitor. So when I flip the switch, you can see it goes from the one pointing at the monitor to the one pointing down the bench. Just back and forth with the flip of that switch. And I'll go over how all that was set up. So what do we got left here? We have video transmitter on a pagoda antenna and a 1 watt 900 megahertz telemetry radio. Not much to show on those right now, but like I say, now I will do some videos to go over each one of these items and how I set it up. But this is the overall look at my setup for first INav flight controller, first Crossfire receiver, all the rest of this stuff I've used before. All right, so let's look at the individual things.